Hello and welcome to live post-match reaction to the Highlanders versus the Lions by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby predictions and opinion. And the Highlanders came out on top on this one, 36-27 in the end. A good result for the Landers down there in the deep south. It looked at one point like it was going to be a lot more. Just getting my notes. Because it only took them 4 minutes for them to get the first try on the board and their first points, and they took 7 straight from the top there with Sopwanga. The Lions did come back with a try, with a penalty, and then also, but then we saw the Highlanders take control, racking up a couple of tries, but more so they were taking control on the possession and the territory. Perhaps they'll feel they should have taken more points at that point because they did let the Lions did manage to come back into it when there was so much they were so on top in that first half. The Highlanders in that first half, the Lions really just could not keep hold of the ball. They kept on turning it over, but the Highlanders let them back in with some pretty poor discipline. It evened itself up towards the end, but with the Lions got their first try bashing away, but then the next 3 tries from the Lions, in fact their last 3 tries, all came from lineouts, either straight from the lineout maul or one where they bashed it over. And I've been told off. Yes, I've got it wrong. It's actually 39 points to 27. Oops, sorry, that's not what I meant to do at all. I had to change the total on the screen. There we go. 39 points to 27, not 36. Thanks, Brent, for updating that one. Solo show this evening, so please, as many comments as you like in the chat. That'll help me keep going. So, as I say, penalties definitely let down. Well, discipline definitely let down the Highlanders in this one, with that allowed the Lions to kick to the corner, and then from those line-out mauls. The last one was probably the one I enjoyed the most because it wasn't the line-out maul. They faked the maul, came down. Quagga Smith looped around. If he'd been able to straighten up quicker, I think he'd have got over. But he got snagged. And a couple of phases later, the Lions managed to get over the line. It was good to see them varying it up and it not just being them bashing it up. Them using the maul there. So they managed to pull it back to be 19-15 at half time, just 4 points in it, in a half that they really hadn't been in because, as I say, of their turnovers. But the things that kept them in it were those Highlanders penalties, with the fact that also the Highlanders line-out wasn't functioning either. They lost a couple of line-outs during the night, whereas the Lions were 14 from 14 with their line-outs. But the hustle, the fast ball that the Highlanders were getting were causing the Lions all sorts of trouble. And perhaps the Highlanders should have made a bit more from that. Tackling in this game was not of the highest quality, to be honest. The Highlanders only managed 72% of their tackles, the Lions 73%. And early doors, they really were even worse than that. In the first sort of 5-10 minutes, there were a lot of missed tackles as both teams needed to settle down. Brent said, yeah, the Lions were a shadow of the side they were last year. And you've got to wonder how much that is going to be because of the lack of Ackerman's ability to motivate them. Because one of the things we've seen is they have been very inconsistent this season, up and down. Some of their results and some of their performances have been very good, but then they followed up with some very poor ones, like losing to the Blues at home. But they put the Tars away at the beginning of this tour quite comfortably, but then lost to the Reds the following weekend. They have been really an up and down side this season, and they have got some components that are working really well, particularly that set piece, as I was talking about. But their defence tonight really let them down in this one, and their ability to hold on to the ball. 11 turnovers by the Highlanders. We kind of expect, the Highlanders play fast and loose. So So that's pretty good for them. But 22 turnovers by the Lions is criminal. That's not going to win you many games at all. Some lovely play by the Highlanders. I mean, as is pretty typical, they didn't want to play in their own half. They only wanted to play in the that often. 27 kicks gives you an idea to that side of things. But they were more than happy to go through the phases, show a bit of patience, and they also mix it up and try a few things in the Lions half. And it's great to see players being given that license to try stuff and have a go for it. One of them, lovely one by Thompson, who saw that basically had two forwards in front of him. He didn't try to do anything too special, but he did dribble the ball through and then chase it through, to hand off to Walden for the try, and that nice little bit of skill. He could, but also acknowledging playing what's in front of him. If you've got two locks in front of you, if you put the ball behind them, they're not going to be turning around quick to get that ball. And he noticed that, and that was a great position, great opportunity and time to do that. He wasn't just trying anything anywhere. That was kind of where it was. But he does like to put the ball in his boot, and as the commentators say, he does have a left and a right boot. He can kick off both feet, which quite a lot of players, even professionals, don't really like to do. Let's say one of the comments in there, the Lions a bit of a porous defence, and it has stayed that way, definitely. And Brett Wrestling says, I don't think I can recall a super season where teams' form fluctuates so substantially from one week to the next. There are a few that go. There are weeks. We do have weeks. A few teams that seem to be like that at the moment. The Sharks are another one that suddenly clicked, and before that had been poor. You suddenly not sure which side there's going to turn up this weekend. It's going to be really interesting. Was that a one-off? Was that them turning the corner? The Lions again. We've seen good and bad weeks. The Jaguares early season at home would be great one week, awful the next. We've had quite a few teams like that one as well. Ricardo reckons that the Lions had a few bad ref decisions go against them. Refs will always make make mistakes. I don't think he was particularly one way or the other tonight. And I also like to blame refs. So you have to manage the refs and take the game out of the refs' hands. Is my kind of opinion on those sort of things. But the Highlanders, their attack just got too many metres. I mean, the Lions actually got through quite a lot of metres running with ball in hand as well. They got up to 500, just like the Highlanders did. But they just turned over the ball far too often. Lions actually had twice as many clean breaks as the Highlanders. But as I say, they just couldn't finish them off. They just turned the ball over, and that was the difference between these two. One of the differences between these two sides. If we have a quick look at some of the players' stats here, the back three for the Highlanders, as always, got through a lot of work. Ben Smith for 80 metres, Naholo 80 metres, and Nabrula for 86 metres. I'm sorry about that pronunciation, but I was impressed by him today. Not someone I've seen that much of, and he spent a lot of his time getting that arm out, ready to release the ball, very much Seven style. So Nabrula, if you're going to be playing it, so you have to be very aware of his offloads, because he's going to be offloading the ball a lot out of the tackle. Walden and Thompson got through a bunch of work in that sense of partnership. Both made 6 tackles. Walden missed 5 though. He was probably the biggest culprit of missing tackles. But I say a lot of players missed tackles this evening. Luke Whitelock got through. I mean, it's made 17 to be fair, but it missed 4. Lomax, the prop, made 6 but missed 4 as well. So Ansop Wanger only made 2 but missed 4. So I say a lot of missed tackles there on the Highlanders side, and also similar on the Lions side. Yonker missed 4, and a lot of players missed 2 or 3. Pretty much nobody got through. Only sort of reserves really got through without missing any tackles. So there was a lot of missed tackles this evening, which was poor. On the discipline side, I said the Highlanders gave up quite a lot of penalties, but it was spread around. A lot of there wasn't one person who was a culprit. A lot of their players were doing that. Other players, I mean, that got through a lot of work, because there was some tight work as well. with running. And Luke Whitelock again and Elliot Dixon were both around the park a lot, as was Franklin for the Highlanders. On the Lions side, Quagga Smith seemed to be everywhere tonight. He was one of the highest meter makers actually in the end. So he was a name that got mentioned a lot. Combrink had that wonderful break, got a bit unlucky to put his foot in touch. These things kind of do happen, but that's how it all kind of. He looked kind of. He hasn't looked at his best this season. The last couple of games have been pretty much disappointed by him, and that was a rare flash of his skills tonight. Again, didn't really seem to get into the game that much from me watching the game. Even though it does say he got through quite a bit of work and he got through 11 carries. I don't remember those carries particularly, apart from that one where he got down the line that really kind of stood out. I thought Dante on the other wing was much more visible during this game, even if he got through less work and did really well. Lamapi, someone that we've seen do some great breaks previously. Again, another person who had a quiet game tonight as well. And I'm amazed that Van Rensburg is someone that gets that actually is on the bench and isn't coming off it. I'm sure he'll be moving to Europe in the off season if he doesn't get more game time. I'm very impressed by his play last season, but again, another player that's not doing so well this season at the Lions. Just a quick one tonight. Those are the comments that I sort of picked up on or had. I say it's just me tonight. I'll be getting up at 5 a.m. for the Major League Rugby in the morning. Perhaps a bit silly, but hey, that's the next game I'll be doing. Hence, also another reason for keeping this quick so I can get to bed and try and get some sleep. So those are my final comments. Yeah, Highlanders have obviously rotated a bunch of players out after looking pretty tired last weekend. We didn't see the effects of that tiredness tonight. They were up for this the whole way through, a lot of energy, a lot of wanting this game, and I think those changes were key. They go back on the road again next week from memory. I think they're in Australia next weekend, so they're going to need to keep rotating those players to keep them fresh because they did, I say, look tired in South Africa. The Lions will be looking to get home now. This has not been a good tour for them after their first win, losing the next three. It was always going to be a tough one for them, and now that they picked so few points up on tour, that has opened up the South African conference, as was just said. I'm not quite remember how the exact standings are, but if I just bring them up now. So looking at the standings in South Africa, the Lions have played 12. I'm not sure it's been updated yet with this game, which leaves them on, and they're on 31 points. And Jaguares on 24 points, so they're 7 points behind the Sharks, another further point back, and the Stormers another further point back as well. So the Lions have still got themselves 1 or 2 games buffer on the rest of the teams, but then again, the Sharks have only played 10 games, so they've got another 6 games to go. So even though they have not looked so have had a poor tour, they're still clear in front, and as long as they pick up a few more wins, they should still top that group. The Crusaders, on the other hand, climb back to the top of the table. So yes, there must have been data over the. We'll climb back above the Hurricanes, I believe. Actually, no, they didn't get the bonus point. I'm trying to remember whether the Hurricanes probably got the bonus point last night or not. So that might put them on even points now. So again, that's going to be those two are looking like the top teams by quite a long distance over the rest. So that's where kind of things lie at the moment. And yeah, do enjoy whatever you're watching. Please do subscribe. A bit tired tonight. Sorry, it's been a bit of a quiet one, but we'll have some more guests back in the future. Do check us out at 8 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday New Zealand time for various Super Rugby and All Black shows. And also, yeah, say subscribe and enjoy whatever rugby you're watching.